I'll tell you a little story. On our way up here from Edmonton today, from Calgary, we stopped at a Dairy Queen to grab a burger. And on the East Coast, you walk up, you order your food, they give it to you, you go sit down. Here, we ordered our food and they put a number in my hand with a laminated piece of paper. I stood off to the side and stood there and waited. Didn't know what the heck I was supposed to do, and I'm waiting for the food to come out. And we were there a good 3 or 4 minutes before a young fella came out from behind the counter and said, "You're supposed to go sit down." And I said, "I am." He said, "Yeah, go sit down and put your number on the table and we'll bring you the food." So I immediately went back to the process and thought to myself, that's exactly what we are doing in the aftermarket today. Customers, clients, are looking for leadership, and we're not giving it to them by teaching them or telling them what it is we want them to do. I would have sat down immediately. I wouldn't have had to sit there for 3 or 4 minutes. And then, quite frankly, after I sat down, I felt foolish. I'm at a fast food place and I don't know the rules, don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I sit down with the number and they bring the food out. So, moral of the story, clients out there today are looking for leadership. They're looking for processes, and they're looking for the advisors or your support team to actually deliver that to them. What happens in our industry is shops don't provide the process and leadership skills to the support staff and the service advisors. So if they don't have any, they start to create their own. As they're working the counter, they start to create their own processes. If you have more than one service advisor on the counter, you have 2 service advisors, or an owner and a service advisor, 2 support staff. What ends up happening is the message and the process that's delivered to the client is inconsistent, because each person has their own set of rules and their own set of processes. So now we're delivering a different message to the clients. If you have more than one person on the counter, and I think you can all look and you'll probably say, I have 2 that are there every day doing it, but we probably have a 3rd one that kicks in. So if you have 3, 4 people answering the phone, talking to clients, and with every one of those steps, the message and the delivery that's being given to the client is totally different. The process that they're getting on an everyday basis is something different, and that's part of the issue that we have. If the service advisors don't have processes and the shops don't have processes to give it to them, what happens is the clients start developing their own. Those are the ones that show up and expect service done within 2 hours when you know it's going to take 3. They drop the keys off on the counter, walk out the door without giving you any kind of messages. Those are the clients creating their own processes. And what gets really interesting as time goes on, if the clients don't have processes and you're not giving it to them, they create their own. And after they've created their own processes, they start to rate your service advisors on whether they can meet the processes that are inside their heads, the clients' heads, because they've created their own. And what gets really silly in the whole process is how, as a service advisor or a support staff on the counter, can you possibly meet the standard that has been created in their head if you don't know what that standard is? So if we don't deliver to the client a standard, tell them what's going to happen before it happens, as I did in that store that day where they give me the tag and say, now you go sit down, and as you sit down you put the tag on the counter, and we'll be there with the food in a minute. And then I go sit down, and that actually happens where they bring the food and they get my order, or they got the right order because they got the number, and I turn around and say, that's a great experience, I wish they did that on the East Coast. That's the delivery of processes by teaching the client what's going to happen before it happens and then actually delivering on it. That's what process is all about inside the store today. I thank APD for your support, and take care. Have a good night.